Okay, so we're going to be looking at a short series of explainers which will hopefully be helpful to designers who are considering using HepcoMotion products for their applications. And what we're going to try and cover is the three key elements of applications, specifically load, duty, and life of a system. Yep. So we'll kick off with load. And first off, what are the key fundamentals of load that we need to consider?
It's the first thing you ask any customer with the start of an application. What is the load that you're applying within your application? Sometimes you'll have sort of discussions about the overall size. Customers will say they don't know, and you get into a conversation. Is it a kilo? Is it 10 kilos? Is it 1,000 kilos? And that's our starting point for any application to help customers choose the right system.
Yeah, and it's a good point, and I think it's really helpful, even if the designer or engineer doesn't know exactly what that payload is going to be. A best guess is certainly better than nothing at all.
Yeah, and that is quite common. At the start of a design, you may not know exactly what it is that you're doing with the sort of finished product, but an estimate of mass is generally perfectly adequate.
Yeah, definitely. Err on the side of caution, go worst case, and then we're safe. So that load, we then have to consider where it's positioned relative to the guide system. Can you talk us through how the position of the load affects the guide and the loads, forces on the guides, individual bearings, etc.?
Yeah, the load is the first point. The position of it then becomes very important. For the slide system, the simplest place is to put your load bang in the middle. That is an equal share of force on all of the bearings. But we know that for a lot of applications that's not possible. You may have to find that the payload is pushed to one side or above the carriage. There's all sorts of issues that can be sort of an effect that customers need to look at. But the further the load is away from the slide, the heavier and the greater the forces are on the bearings, and that can dictate whether we need to look at a larger slide set.
Yeah, and I guess when you've got those offset cantilever loads, the dynamics of the system can dramatically affect the load that the guide sees.
Yeah, because once you start moving that mass, you have got acceleration forces, and all of those things will continue to add more force to the bearings. But we can assist with that. Our tech team can look at this and advise the most suitable sort of slide system that will give them the life that's needed.
Great. So, ideal situation, payload is slap bang on top of the centre of the carriage. We're all happy, but we do know that, of course, applications have space envelope restrictions. There are design considerations, and the designer may have no option but to have the payload, significantly overhung, cantilevered off from one side. What can we do to, mitigate the forces that the guide sees in that instance?
The simplest method with that is to look at a slide system where you've got two single-edge slides. The widest GV3 slide we do is 120 mil, but with two single-edge slides, we can go to 200 mil, 300 mil, whatever is suitable for the application, and that in itself will gradually reduce the load on the bearings, and we may be able to then specify a slide system that is smaller. More cost-effective and better for a sort of a restricted envelope, and all of that just gives a better solution to the customer.
And of course, mounting two parallel slides, you've got to get your installation and alignment pretty spot on in that situation. What options have we got there to aid with installation?
Yeah, so Hepco slide systems, they're, by their nature are sort of high precision. We can offer ground slides so that you set your two slides to a register edge. That will ensure smooth running of the system. But there's also compliance within the bearings. So our twin bearings will give a good compliance, and even with a small amount of misalignment, they will still run smoothly and efficiently.
Yeah, and I guess compliance is a key consideration as well, because there are options that allow us even greater degrees of freedom, such as flat tracks.
Yes, yeah, and that is another area we can look at. You know, if you can't get them perfectly aligned, you can have a V-slide on one side of the system and a flat track on the other, and the flat track will only sort of secure it in one plane of movement.
Great. One other final thing to consider: you look at a Hepco guide system, and in most cases there's a clear sort of top and bottom. What difference does the orientation of the guide system make to the Hepco system?
From our side, none at all. The slides can be mounted in their sort of normal plane of sort of flat or upside down, inverted. They carry the same sort of load capacities in both directions, so customers are free to set them how they need.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks.